So that kind of brings me to the real point of why I'm here today. Uncertainty about these new requirements, as well as other provisions of CEQA, and frankly other provisions of law that are implicated in zoning and planning processes and specific development approval processes, makes public engagement in the environmental review process established under CEQA absolutely critical. It's not enough for those of us in this room and for other affected citizens to assume that their interests will be protected by our elected officials, including me, and others guiding the administrative process. It's important to remember that when we talk about the administrative process that governs planning and project approval determinations, there are two related but discrete components that address two related but discrete issues. The first issue is whether a specific planning or project proposal complies with the technical requirements of CEQA and other specific provisions of state law. And that's actually the easier one to worry about, because you just look at what those requirements are, you compare the environmental review documents, and you make a decision about whether they're in compliance or they're not. But the second component of this process, above and beyond whether a project complies with CEQA or other provisions of statutory law, is the project a good idea from the perspective of local community interests and needs? And that's kind of a tougher one to sort out. But they are distinct. When you go through the CEQA review process, you go through a process that will lead to certification of an environmental impact report. When you go through the decision-making process to approve projects, you go through a decision-making process to approve projects. That is a political determination, and political considerations need to come into play when looking at what the opportunities are for decision makers. And it's important to recognize that members of the public have a significant role to play in both components of that administrative process. An informed and engaged public is essential for good planning. Attending meetings like the one we're all here at today is a good first step. It's educational, it's an opportunity to learn, but it's not the end of the process. It's not the end of the process to write indignant emails to elected officials, of which I've been receiving many lately, saying, you must do something about this. Well, what we must do about this is engage in good faith in an administrative process that respects the parameters of the legal requirements with which we must comply, and make sure that everyone in the public has a legitimate and serious opportunity and takes advantage of that opportunity to make their own contributions and make sure that their views are heard. If you all do that, and those of us who are fortunate enough to be in elected positions take our responsibilities seriously, as I think we are trying to do in Larkspur, then that's the best recipe for getting the good outcomes that we can all support at the end. So that's my pitch. Get out there and fight. Thank you.